Sure, what's going on? It's Mitchell Renz here, host of the Raiders Report, back from my honeymoon. Thank you so much for everyone that was keeping tabs on me all week. Huge shout out to Jeremy Chugs for also keeping you guys up to date. And coming up here on today's show, I'm just going to go through all the things that happened, honestly, over the course of the week. I would say the biggest news, the Christian Wilkins injury news, is kind of going to be the big headliner, the things that I want to be able to discuss. And just because while I was away, I wasn't able to really break down a lot of the things that did happen over the week. So I want to be able to sit up here and talk to you about the Wilkins injury news. Jack Bech signing his contract, my thoughts on that. The Raiders veterans reporting to training camp on the 22nd. I want to talk about the silver and black moving on from Carter Bradley, the Jauan Jennings trade rumors, Rashee Rice suspension, and then at the very end, I got a special message for somebody that deserves a special message. Now, before I get into everything, we got 49 days until football season, and I don't know about you, I'm super hyped up to get into the season this year. I know there's been a lot of confusion maybe about what the Raiders did this offseason, free agency, what they did in the draft. I personally have loved what Pete Carroll and John Spytek have brought to the table, and I'm super pumped up. 49 days until football season. I want you all to hit that like button. And Chuck wants to get in the pool. We're at Alex's sister's house just because we had close to 30 hours of flight delays. We got stuck in Mexico. It was a whole shenanigans, but that's why I'm recording this video from Alex's sister's house. And yes, you're going to see a lot of Chuck. He wants to get in the pool, which usually he doesn't get in the pool without me. We'll see if he does end up getting in, though. For a stick, he might. I don't know. We'll see. Go. You got it. Go. Go. Yeah. I mean, it's good to be home. I'm not going to lie. It's really, really good to be home. All right, so first off, let's talk about the Christian Wilkins injury news. And obviously, on Friday, the Raiders placed defensive tackle Christian Wilkins on the physically unable to perform list. It is important to note, which I saw out there, that some people were wondering if he was still going to count against the 90-man roster. He is still going to count against the 90-man, but when you talk about the Raiders, you honestly should say the 91-man roster, because we have the International Pathway Program player, Laki Tassi, so we're allowed to hold on to that extra guy. But players on the PUP list, they can return at any time during training camp. Essentially, Wilkins just has to be able to pass a physical. Now, if you remember the video that I did back on, it was like 4 weeks ago, I think it's June 20th, I was just looking at it. And, I was told that the Raiders medical staff wants Wilkins to get another surgery, but Wilkins kind of wants to play through this injury. I'll just say this. I know there's been some speculation if he's had a second surgery or not. I'm only going to go off of what I was told, and I want to be very clear. I am not a beat reporter. I am not trying to be an insider. I do this show just the way that I think a lot of Raiders fans think, where if I hear something that I'm like, all right, you know what, Raider fans would want to hear about that, I'm going to share that information. And if Chuck has to go to use the restroom, all right, we're good. I was like, can't be dropping a number 2. Yeah, I'm talking about you. You don't got to look at me. So they are still, though, for training camp in the preseason. He's just got to be able to pass that physical, and if he's able to pass that physical, then he's going to be able to rock and roll for this upcoming year. Now, the important thing here about Wilkins being on the physically unable to perform list is if he is still on that list August 26th at 4 p.m. Eastern time, which is when the Raiders have to trim that roster from 91 all the way down to that 53-man roster spot. And here's the problem, okay? If he is unable to be back by that time, then he has to be out at least 4 weeks, the first 4 weeks of the season. So basically, if he's out for those first 4 weeks of the season, he's going to get essentially 5 weeks of recovery time, because you're out 4 weeks, and then you get essentially that extra week of practice time to get out there. But if he isn't ready to go by week 5 against the Indianapolis Colts, then his season for the Las Vegas Raiders will unfortunately be over. So here's going to be my question, and this is going to be the pinned comment on today's show. If you tuned in today just to see me back in action, I greatly appreciate that. I am excited to be back, believe it or not. Again, honeymoon was amazing, but there's always like that part where you're like, all right, man, like I kind of want to get back to the biz. So will Christian Wilkins play week 1 against the New England Patriots? I want you to tell me yes. I want you to tell me no. My answer is going to be coming up right here after this YouTube ad break. The reason why I'm going to say no, and it sucks to say it because I feel like I'm going to speak on behalf of a lot of Raiders fans when I say this. My mind is telling me no, right? But my body's telling me yes. And I really would love to be able to have Wilkins out there on the field up against New England, but I also don't want to risk further injury. I think also the Raiders know how their schedule goes, where if he's unable to go the first 4 weeks, then maybe they allow him to test it out week 5, week 6, week 7. Week 7, especially up against Kansas City, then you have that week 8 bye. I think for the Raiders, that would be the smarter plan long-term for Wilkins instead of, having him rush back a little bit too soon early on in the year, and then he's not able to, to play the most important part of the season, which is the backstretch. I want him healthy for the backstretch of the season, and I think all of us do. But again, I think he's going to be out the first 4 weeks. I am just going to guess that he's going to be put on the PUP list. I know that this whole situation around Wilkins is frustrating for y'all. It's frustrating for me too, right? Like, I know what I was told, but at the same time, I want Pete Carroll and John Spytek. I want the Raiders to come out and just be like, hey, this is exactly what the hell's going on with Wilkins. And when you pay somebody the amount of money that the Raiders paid him, that's just what Raider fans want to know. Like, what exactly is going to happen? Here's the one thing that I know for a fact is going to happen. Whether Wilkins plays this season or whether Wilkins doesn't play this season, he's going to be on this Raiders roster next year, and it's because of the contract. Like, they've already restructured his contract once. They did it last season, but he's on the books next season for $37 million and $33 million. If the Raiders were to cut him this offseason, which I've seen a lot of people are like, oh, he's got to cut ties with him, you're going to eat $74 million. Like, it doesn't make any sense whatsoever, right? If you cut him next year, you're going to eat $57 million. If you were to cut him in 2027, also because, again, you restructured his contract, I get it. He doesn't have any guarantees that year, but even that year, you're eating $19 million. I know that the frustration around Wilkins and this injury, it's something, right? I mean, he's 29 years old. He's a big boy, and he's been dealing with this Jones fracture all the way back from October 5th. Clearly, something isn't going right. But I've talked to a lot of medical professionals. I've talked to some people at that Raiders facility, and I think that we as people just got to realize when you are as athletic as what these guys are and you are the size that these guys are, when you are dealing with your fifth metatarsal, your pinky toe, sometimes shit's just going to happen. And unfortunately, shit is just happening. I will say this. If you want more information on everything around Wilkins, I did drop that video on June 20th. It's going to be down for you down in the comments, down in the description of today's show. If you're just looking for a little bit more information on it, because I know when I talked about it back on June 20th, I was kind of the only guy really discussing anything new, but really from what I've understood, what's happening with Wilkins now has been going on for months at this time, and it's a very confusing situation. Hell, even Pete Carroll, called it a very confusing situation. But I do want to be very clear, I haven't heard anything new since dropping the video on June 20th. I'll also say this, I haven't reached out to anybody the entire week. Like, usually when the Wilkins stuff happens, I'll reach out to my people, and I'll hopefully get something back in 48 hours. I will reach out to some people today, but I hope that y'all understand. It was my longest break since working at Chat Sports, and I really wanted to be able to give Alex her undivided attention. And, today I feel like I'm going to have to give Chuck some undivided attention because, dude wants to get in the pool. You can go at any moment. I don't mind. But I don't know. He won't swim unless I'm in there. It is what it is. All right, coming up next here, also, before I get into the Jack Bech signing his contract and my 2 cents on everything like that, Alex just texted me, well, I still want your undivided attention. All right. So if you haven't already, I hope that you guys hit that subscribe button. I know I was gone for a week, but this is going to be the time of the year where you're going to get even more content from me. I will be live tomorrow, 4 p.m. Eastern time, for our Week 17 Madden simulation up against the New York Giants. I also am going to be dropping some news tomorrow, and I don't even know if it's news. I think it's just a little bit more of an FYI friendly reminder, and I'll be honest, it's not good news, and I think that there are a lot of Raiders fans that are somewhat forgetting about what is about to happen this week, and I'm just going to be doing a video on that tomorrow, so keep your eyes out for that. But now that I'm back, Monday, Friday are going to be our Madden Sims. Tuesday, Thursday, 4 p.m. Eastern time, we're back in action, and then football is really, really getting ready to ramp up, and I actually think I'm going to be the one doing the Hall of Fame game over on Chat Sports on July 31st. So if you're not subscribed over there, hey, go check it out. But I promise you this, lots more content coming up here on the Raiders Report. All right, let's get into the Jack Bech contract. I'm very happy, and I'm very proud that Bech signed his contract. And I get it, it wasn't fully guaranteed. And I had a lot of backlash from some fans when I said I expect Jack Bech to sign that contract, even if the other 30 out of the other 32 second-round rookies didn't. And You know, like, I understand that people were like, well, why would he want to do that? Or, you know, you can't expect him to do that. I can't expect him to do that, right? These guys are making millions of dollars to do a job. And when he was drafted in the second round by the Raiders, you know, he was expected to be able to do that job. And I get it, where, you know, a lot of these players, they don't want to upset the other guys, right? Because Carson Sweshkin got a fully guaranteed contract. Jaden Higgins got a fully guaranteed contract. Browns, Texans. That was their decision. That doesn't mean that the Raiders have to also do that decision. And I don't like that mentality. That's like the same mentality if a guy goes out and signs in free agency, that the Raiders are also expected to pay whatever that guy signed for because they play the same position or they're being drafted in the same round. I think NFL organizations should be able to operate individually, and I get it. Bech probably didn't want to upset the other 30 other players that were trying to get those guarantees, and I don't blame Bech and his agent for trying to get those guarantees. But I think when push comes to shove, and push comes to shove when it's time to show up for training camp, you show up for your brothers. And your brothers aren't the 30 other second-rounders. They're not on your team. You show up for your Raiders family. You show up for those other guys, those other rookies that side in that dotted line. Because I'll tell you this right now, and I'm happy that he did it because I think Pete Carroll carries that compete mentality. I think Jack Bech also in the back of his mind knew, man, if I don't show up to training camp, I might be in trouble. And it's not like anything that he's done. I think it's what the other guys have done. Trey Tucker has stepped up. Dante Thornton Jr. has stepped up. And the last thing that you want to do is show up behind the 8 ball when you are a rookie on a brand new team with a brand new regime that has the amount of new talent that was added. So I want to be very clear. I am very proud of Jack Bech for getting this deal done. And I am very proud for him to maybe, in some of the other second rounders, I'll call it swallowing the ego a little bit and showing up out there for the team. Because I guarantee you this, Bech, and I know that he knows this. If he goes out there and he does everything that I'm hoping that he can do, and he does everything that I think this Raiders team is hoping that he could do, he was drafted at number 58 overall for a flipping reason. He's going to make a lot more money down the road. And I hope that he does have that opportunity to make a lot more money down the road. All right, next up here, let's talk about some Raiders training camp news. The veterans, they report July 22nd. The first padded practice is going to be the 23rd. And the reason why I want to talk about this is because I'm sitting here obviously on Sunday, July 20th. I'm chilling today. I am obviously off, but if there is breaking news that happens, I'm going to be covering it, right? Like, and that's why I want people to hit that sub button. But when the Raiders moved on from Carter Bradley, which that move happened earlier in the week, that opened up a roster spot. So if the Silver and Black want to go out and if they want to add a player, maybe like a Julian Blackmon, maybe a Jadeveon Clowney, maybe a Justin Simmons. If it was up to me, those would be the top 3 players that I would go out and get. And I've also done a video probably at this point 2-3 weeks ago about some of the top free agent targets that I would like Pete Carroll and John Spytek to target before training camp. The reason why I'm bringing this up, though, is because sometimes you see players like I just mentioned, and some of these, veterans, this is when they randomly sign. They don't want to do a lot of the offseason stuff, but they will show up to training camp. They will be ready to go. Now, some other guys will wait until training camp because obviously injuries happen. Other guys will wait until after the preseason because obviously injuries happen. But to me, this is always the time of the year where a big-time breaking news story could potentially happen. And the fact that the Raiders moved on from Carter Bradley, which I don't like to say I predicted it or I'm not shocked, but the video that I did right before I left for my honeymoon, you guys saw it a little bit later in the week. I had Carter Bradley ranked as my 91st player on the roster, the least important player. And it's not saying Carter himself is not important. It's when you go out and you trade for, Geno Smith, when you have a good backup in Aiden and you draft a rookie quarterback, that kind of made Carter Bradley the least important player on the team, which is why I said in that video, if you're going to cut one guy to make room for another player, you cut Carter Bradley, and that's exactly what the Las Vegas Raiders did. Coming up next here on the show, we got some NFL news that happened that I'd like to discuss, but first, I think I got to throw this ball in the pool for Chuck before he stop it. All right, you guys ready? Go. He's happy. I mean, honestly, this is why you should watch the videos. If I could just do this every week, I 100% would do it, but I don't live here, and that's not my pool, so I don't think I can. All right, today's show, though, is presented by Panda Sups, and I put on some weight, I'm not going to lie to you, during the honeymoon, and I'm going to try to get back into good shape, no doubt about it, and the way that I'm going to do it is with my friends over at Panda Sups, and they got some brand new protein. I really, really want you to go check it out. I think Raider fans would be surprised how awesome it tastes. 25 grams of protein, 100% pure whey isolate, 110, 120 calories, 0 grams of sugar, and for a limited time when you spend $125, you're going to get free creatine and free shipping. I've been using Panda for a while. The link's going to be available to y'all down in the comments, down in the description of today's show, but treat yourself to the same delicious, high-quality fuel you've been obsessed with. Now, in faster-absorbing, ultra-lean formula that delivers maximum protein with macro-friendly flavors, explosions, making it a total delight to hit your daily goals. Peanut butter cookies, chocolate brownie whip, toasted honey graham, flavors that slap like a cheat day. Those are the protein flavors that are brand new. Those are the ones that I want you to go check out. If he starts going to the bathroom, I'm going to turn the camera to the best of my ability because he's looking at me like he might. So I don't really know what he's doing. But see what I deal with? I love this dog, though, man. It's so good to be back home. Like, when I came home, he hasn't left my side since. So it's been really awesome. All right, let's get into some of the other news that ended up happening. Again, shout out to Panda Subs for sponsoring today's Raiders Report video. All right, let's get into the Jauan Jennings trade rumors. And I saw the rumors drop. Chugs texted me back when it happened. He's like, man, there's a lot of people that are linking Las Vegas to the 49ers receiver. And you want to talk about a team that's got some wide receiver drama. It's the 49ers. I just saw Ricky Pearsall, Brandon Ayuk. They just got placed on, basically the PUP list as well, what Christian Wilkins was just placed on. And then also on top of that, now you got Jauan Jennings who's looking for a brand new contract. And I don't really blame Jennings coming off a career year, but you also got to consider, what he's done throughout the entirety of his career. And, he's always been somebody that has been a bottom of the roster guy. And I think last season, due to injuries and just due to the 49ers really just needing some bodies out there, he was able to go out and get a lot of catches. The way that I would explain Jauan Jennings to Raiders fans is kind of like Nelson Aguilar, right? Where Aguilar that one year for the Raiders was phenomenal. I want to say he had like 47 grabs, over 1,000 yards, and we were like, holy crap, this guy, he came out of nowhere. I think just certain times, like certain players have career years, and yeah, I don't blame Jennings for asking for his money, but at the same time, I don't really view him as somebody that I want to go out and trade for. I don't really view him as somebody, like if you're the Raiders and you're even considering trading for Jauan Jennings, like I know Chugs gave it one just win, baby, and I'd probably give it half a just win, baby. To me, the only way that you're even kind of interested in going out and getting Jennings is, A, if there's a coaching connection that I personally do not know about. I was looking this morning. I don't really see anything. Or B, if there's an injury. Because I'll tell you this, I don't value Jauan Jennings as more valuable than Dante Thornton Jr. He might be more pro-ready this year, but I don't think that in the next 4 or 5 years, like if Dante Thornton Jr. is what Jauan Jennings is in 5 years from now, then I'm going to be a little bit disappointed in Dante, right? Like, I don't value Jauan Jennings more than Jack Bech. I don't value him more than Trey Tucker even, and some people might be surprised by that, but Trey Tucker is a good blocker. Trey Tucker is a great gadget player to be able to put on an offense that's got Brock Bowers, Michael Mayer, 2 solid tight ends, with a very reliable hands catcher in Jacoby Myers, with 2 speedsters in Dante Thornton and Trey Tucker. Like, to me, I don't want to just look at the player. You got to look at the entire picture when you look at this Raiders offense, and Trey Tucker's a better blocker, I think, than Jauan Jennings. So, to me, I don't think it makes any sense for the Raiders to go out and get him, and I really hope that they don't, because I just think it's going to add more confusion, and I think if the Raiders did that move, Jacoby Myers has done such a good job this offseason showing up in non-mandatory things. I think he's acted like a true professional, but that would be a move where, you might upset him. And I don't know if you can upset Jacoby. He just seems like as cool as a cucumber. Shout out also to Stuart Scott. I believe he would have been 60 years old today or yesterday, one of the greatest to ever do it. But, I think for Jacoby Myers, you don't want to upset him. I don't know what his contract situation is going to be looking like. Maybe they give him an extension, maybe they don't. If it was up to me, I would extend him and Colton. I'm still kind of surprised that hasn't happened, but maybe the Raiders are a lot more confident in Jack Bech. Maybe they're a lot more confident in, somebody like a Charles Grant, who they ended up drafting. All right, next thing I want to talk about here is the Rashee Rice suspension. So Kansas City Chiefs receiver Rashee Rice has been sentenced to 5 years of probation and 30 days in jail as a condition of probation following his actions in March 2024 for his high-speed car crash. Now, here's what I know, and this is what ESPN said. According to ESPN, the NFL can now expedite his disciplinary process of Rice, who is likely to receive a multi-game suspension at some point during the 2025 season. I don't really know when the NFL is going to give him his suspension. If I had to imagine, I don't think they're going to suspend him the first 2 games of the year because the Chiefs play on opening night and the NFL is a business, and, they don't want Rice to miss those games. They want Kansas City to be full strength, and I also think that the Chiefs, their first 2 games are big-time primetime games. I don't know if they're going to do it the final 2 weeks of the season because I know Kansas City plays Denver and they also play the Raiders, which I think that those are 2 AFC West games. But at the same time, I'll try to figure out when exactly those are going to be. Maybe it's going to be in the middle of the year. I'm not 100% sure. If it was up to me, though, I would imagine you're going to get a 2-3 game suspension from Rice. I think personally he deserves more. And, I think sometimes when you're around the area that it happens, maybe it hits a little bit closer to home for you. But knowing that he caused, it was $115,000 of medical expenses, the fact that, him and his buddies, whatever you want to call them, when they got out of the car, they were carrying guns, they were carrying bags of whatever, left the scene of the crime, and they put, multiple families in danger. And, I drive on 75. I personally don't drive. Alex is the one that drives a lot. But, we got a lot of guys at Chat Sports that drive on that highway every single day, and it's a 4-lane highway. And for them to be going as fast as what they did, yeah, it could have been a lot worse, and I get it. It can always be a lot worse, but I think that the NFL's got to start doing something where we got to start holding guys accountable, right? We got young kids, we got adults, we got people that look up to these NFL stars, and they kind of treat them like, not normal people, like gods almost. And I think that we almost got to humble some of these guys because to remind them, hey, you put your pants on the same way that I do. If you do some boneheaded shit, you should get penalized for it. And I hope that the NFL honestly has a wake-up call at some point, and I don't know what it's going to take. I don't know what exactly is going to happen, but I hope that the NFL starts, treating these NFL players like normal people when they do shit that's, deserves to be punished. And that's how I'll leave it. If it was up to me, though, I would have suspended Rashee Rice for much longer. Quite frankly, I think everything that happened it's a shame. But, guys are going to act like that because they don't feel like that they could be punished, right? Your kids would act out if they didn't feel like that they were going to be punished. And we got Rashee Rice acting like a child, probably doesn't think he's going to get punished. The thing that I want to end today's show with is I want to give a huge, huge shout out to Kirk Morrison. And, somebody that is a content creator myself, and I've always hoped and dreamed that maybe there's a day that Mark Davis, the Raiders, give me a phone call to, broadcast games. And I'll be honest, I don't know if I would want to do exactly the way they do it. I would always want to be able to put my own little spin on it. Hell, being able to host a Raiders Sport watch party inside Allegiant Stadium would be absolutely electric. But huge, huge shout out to radio color analyst Kirk Morrison. Oakland native, now going to work closely with the team that he grew up rooting for. They drafted him in 2005. I think when you are an NFL player, when you are a person and you have to hang it up, right? Like when you retire from your sport. I get it. I played college baseball. I don't love baseball the way that I love football. But I think when you hang it up and you have somebody that does truly, truly love what they do, is so passionate about it, they're always looking to be able to stay in it. So I think for Kirk, this is a great opportunity for him. He's been working his way up. And I got nothing but the utmost respect for Kirk Morrison, and I'm excited to hear what he's got in store for Raider Nation this upcoming season. All right, y'all, I'm going to end up hopping on out of here. I know I talked about a lot of the things that have already happened over the week, but to my knowledge, there is nothing really, new that's happened today. Obviously, if anything does end up going down today, I'm back in the States, so I'll be able to get you guys a video. If it's really, really big-time breaking news, I might actually have to go live from here just because I'm still a little bit further away from the Chat Sports studios just due to all the flight complications that Alex and I had to deal with over the past few days. I'll also say this. If anybody knows anybody that I can contact from American Airlines, just, we'll call it make things right. I'm usually not so much of a Karen, but I'm going to be a little bit of a Karen because in my mind, American Airlines cost me 30 hours of my honeymoon, and it was a lot of money that was lost on my end. So if there's anybody that makes it this far in the video, I hope that you can hit me up with some sort of contact information. I would greatly appreciate it just to make life a little bit easier for my wife and I. All right, y'all, enjoy your Sunday. I'll see you guys bright and early tomorrow on the Raiders Report. And a reminder, 4 p.m. Eastern Time, 1 p.m. Pacific, I will be live, Raiders Madden Simulation. If you're looking for more videos around the Las Vegas Raiders, make sure you click the subscribe button right here. I promise you, I got you covered. If you're looking for even more content that maybe either I or Chug's filmed this past week, you can get those videos right here. Chuck is telling me that he really, really recommends these videos over here, and as you can see, he's ready to get in the pool, and I think I am too. Peace out, nation. Make sure you're subscribed.